morning and welcome to Your Pet Matters. I'm your host, Michael Dr. T. Tequila. And, one of the most frustrating things that I have as both the pet parent and the clinician is talking about what's the best pet insurance. And even my team is struggling. And we get inundated with all these companies and we just don't know what's a good fit because everything is different and all our needs and all our pet needs are different. Well, on today's show, that's going to change because you and I and my team are going to have some help. My special guest today is Dennig. She is the co-founder of FurSure, and the website's GetFurSure.com. It is a pet insurance brokerage company, and they can help you and literally match you with the best pet insurance for your pet. So, Catherine, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Michael. Excited to be here.
Yeah. And, at the beginning of the show, I want to introduce both my listening and viewing audience to individuals such as yourself. And, just looking a little bit at your history, you went from Princeton, which is East Coast, then to Facebook, wherever you worked from there. And now you're on the West Coast, co-founding a pet insurance brokerage company. So how did this all begin?
Yeah, absolutely. So just a little bit about my background. I actually was born and raised in Hong Kong. I spent 18 years growing up there before coming to the US for college. Went to Princeton, which is where I met my co-founder, Kurji, about 10-ish years ago. And while I was in college, I started a company. I thought it was crazy that nightlife wasn't on our phone. So I went down that rabbit hole of trying to solve that problem for folks, finding where great live music and happy hours were. Of course, that didn't work out. And then after college, I worked at Facebook as a senior PM on both the newsfeed and ads teams. I learned a ton and had amazing impact on the world. It was crazy being there for the first half. The world loved Facebook, the latter half, not so much. But I always knew that I wanted to get back to building something for people that I love and respect. For me, it's really falling in love with who we're building and solving problems for. And FurSure really got started because of that. So I quit my job and I, just to give you a little bit of background on FurSure, I had a cat named Simba, and Simba was my pride and my joy. I still call every single human that I love in my life. So my parents, my sister, my boyfriend, my best friends, I call them all Yimba, Yimby, and Simba. That's my term of endearment. And for me, because this was kind of the first time that I was really personally responsible for caring for a life, it hit me really hard when he got sick. And I still remember the day we took him in to see the vet and he was diagnosed with lymphosarcoma cancer, and treatment cost $12,000. And I remember being floored, and maybe I'm an idiot. I was pretty young, but I had no idea that cats even could get cancer. Like the thought just never crossed my mind that was something that I should prepare for or plan for or try to prevent in some way, get checked up beforehand. And so I was very ill-equipped, and I think really what should have been a medical decision was very much a financial one because it cost over 10 grand. And the most traumatizing thing is within a week and a half, Simba ended up passing away. So that experience really, really stuck with me. I think there was some guilt involved in that, and there was definitely just I just didn't really know what I didn't know. And so fast forward the years later, finished college, was kind of getting my career started, and I knew I was ready to get another pet. And I was actually volunteering at the SFSPCA, this shelter in the Bay Area, with my now co-founder. And we're just hanging out with the dogs and the cats and spending time with pet owners. And turns out so many people have their own stories, right? Like they were saying, oh, I was just going about my day and then my dog tore his ACL and now I'm out $7,000. And it's just shocking to me that simple things can, not simple things, but it's common things can cost a ton of money. And so I just became really passionate about helping people become aware of how expensive things can be. And then I discovered insurance existed. I know this is getting a long-winded story, but I'm like, wait, why did I not know that this existed when I had Simba? And I was just shocked. And so I started talking to all of my friends who had pets, and I'm like, do you have pet insurance? And of course they're like, oh no, but should I? And with 2 bits of information on what it is, 15 of my friends signed up. So I knew that there was something interesting here that I kept kind of poking into. So I buckled down, did a ton of research on pet insurance, like learned from all the fine print who are the good companies, who are the not so good companies, what should we expect from coverage when we sign up, and also, to your point, what makes the most sense for your specific dog or cat's age, breed, gender, zip code, and your personal financial situation, because a lot of us have a budget range in mind. So long story short, we're FurSure. We help people find the best option, and there's a whole host of other things that we want to do down the line, but this is the first problem that I see a lot of people have pain points with.
Yeah, it's so funny. You are actually point on. So my radio show exists. The whole format exists because it initiated because it's based out of Rider University, and I work with a lot of students. And I can't tell you how many of them said, you mean there's like an eye specialist for a pet? You know, things like that. So that just started my whole networking career with every referral center. You know, as you know, the Princeton area, I've got so many referral centers that I just started networking with every specialist there and having them as guests on the show. And so it became a general quest to explain that all this exists out there. And then to your second point about pricing, absolutely, right? So pets are completely different, and yet the medicine we provide as veterinarians is incredibly similar to human medicine. And because human medicine has so much pet insurance, that whole concept, the cost is gone. And so we only concentrate on our copay. And we show up and there's a copay and you get all the stuff done. And then, you know, some people may look at what the bill actually is and most people don't, right? And then we go from there. So I think you're not alone. I think the timing of everything in your life happens for a reason. And I'm blown away that your friends all said, you know, never heard of pet insurance, didn't know what it was. You know, because in the old days when I started practicing, it was like, hey, save some money, put some money in the bank every month, right? But then you could blow that in a day at a referral center right now, right? So
absolutely,
it's
so
it's
true.
Just amazing. It is just
especially
amazing.
An emergency situation. And I think what you want to do is not have to worry about having stacks of 5-10 grand lying around, because if one bad thing happens, what if there's multiple? And dogs and cats, just like humans, they get sick and hurt, you know what I mean? And things happen, and you want to be able to prepare for those and do the best that you possibly can. You don't want to feel the guilt that I felt. Like because at that point, what are you going to do? Not pay? So I think that there's definitely a lot of room for innovation on this front, but then also just simply bringing more transparency and awareness and personalization to this particular space.
Yeah, absolutely. And you actually went through the number one comment that pet insurance has talked to me about is making a decision between the betterment of my pet's health and finances, and that struggle that exists there. And you know, I tell clients, I say, you know, it's so amazing how few people actually have pet insurance in this nation for the pets. And I tell clients, when I tell them, I say, listen, if there's an emergency situation, you have to go to one of the referral centers, you might be paying $1,000 a day, and the look on their face is just, what, right? It's just amazing, right? So, but I think that through your system, I think helping parents, a lot of people go, well, what insurance do you recommend? And my answer is, because it's like, but I don't know what's best for you. I have this, literally, and I'm going to have to be blatantly honest with you. I'm on pet plan for my dog because I loved the rep, who then left the company. But that's the reason why I have pet plan. And it's like, and I can't in good conscience tell people, get pet plan. I can't. It's one of those things. So when we connected, I'm blown away, and I'm excited about this. And I mentioned that I was going to talk to my team at our last meeting Tuesday, and they just the eyes just went. So
that makes me so happy.